We have here today for you guys me, Kat Krasilnikov, and Chris Burrows. We are founders of Beach Boss Influencers. This is an online community for network marketers and entrepreneurs who want to learn how to grow their businesses on social media the way that you don't have to chase people, don't have to be a salesy weirdo, because we teach you how to grow your network, how to build influence over that network, and how to promote whatever is that you need to promote without being a salesy weirdo. And today, I got for you guys here our tech wizard, Chris Burrows. And without him, Beach Bus Influencers will be, well, not will be where it is right now, because he is wizard when it comes to technology, and we're going to pick his brain today on artificial intelligence. So many people right now have a question: what's going to happen to social media now that artificial intelligence is available and people make fake posts or whatever you call it? So, Chris, first of all, tell us a little bit like what is this artificial intelligence is, how it looks like, and what you can do
Yeah.
with it.
Okay, so the way I describe it is that as kids, we all grew up watching movies, where they had robots that did things for them. Cartoons like the Jetsons, where they flew around in spaceships and they had the robot maid doing everything. And we're just about to reach that, not quite that stage, but we're getting to that stage where things can can speak for themselves and do things for us, and we're at that tipping point. Maybe a little bit of a worrying tipping point, where we're handing over bits of what we do to this artificial intelligence, and we're starting to learn how to use it to further our businesses and to take some of the strain off ourselves. And we're at that, like I say, that tipping point where we can start to have debates whether this is a good thing, whether it's a bad thing, whether this is going to be pure evil, and the world's going to be taken over by robots. But it's an exciting and a worrying time both together. But I think for us as marketers and entrepreneurs, this is a great time where we can offload some of the tasks that maybe takes a while for us to do, or that we don't particularly like doing.
So
Or
what
even
are
some of
those
the tasks.
tasks? What are those tasks that can be uploaded to artificial intelligence? Give us some examples.
Yeah. So the classic example is things like creating content. So lots of people find it really difficult to come up with ideas for content. Never mind actually moving on to recording videos and actually writing content. So using AI and using chatbots, you can go in there, you can tell those bots what you're looking for, and it can within a couple of seconds churn out a list of suggestions for you to then go away and start to write content for, and not just to come up with the topics, but if we then feed those back in and give these bots lots of information, it can churn out a full blog post or a full script for a video, that you can then just slightly fine tune to be your voice.
So basically, you can tell it, hey, make me a post about 3 tips of social media marketing, and it's going to come up with even several versions of a post. Wow.
Yeah,
And what
that's just
about
it's pre-prepared.
if it sounds not like you? What about that?
So what we've got to remember here is that it's probably not going to be perfect the first time we feed it in. So if it's not right, don't run with what has come out the first time. You these bots are almost conversational, so we can go back and forth and we can improve on what it first churned out. So if it churned something out that is not what you wanted, maybe the tone's wrong, you wanted a little bit of laughter and comedy in there, we can feed that back in and we can ask it to regenerate it in a more comedic way. So don't settle for what comes out first. Keep feeding in, and the more we put in, the better we get back out again.
So it can learn your language. I mean, not your language, it probably speaks all the languages, but how it can learn your way of speaking or writing, right? And create
Yeah.
posts similar to your voice. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing, and it's slightly scary at the same time because it is starting to imitate us and getting very, very good at it very, very quickly. But yeah, the more we feed in, the better quality of stuff we get back out again.
So does it only create texts or it can
No,
create something else?
no. So AI is exploding at the moment, and we're seeing it creating text, which is the easy one. We're seeing lots of AI images popping up. We're starting to see AI or deepfake videos popping up. I watched a video earlier of Mark Zuckerberg, and I'm not quite sure whether it was real or not. So I need to go away and look into that. We're getting to that stage where we can't necessarily trust what we're seeing is the actual is the real thing. But to us as entrepreneurs, that can be a hugely powerful tool.
So what do you think if someone gets a hold of this tool and start creating fake, I don't know, videos or fake information, right? Like you
Yeah,
couldn't tell if it was a real Mark Zuckerberg or AI video. What if someone has, malicious intentions and want to send a message from, let's say, you, and this is not you? So, what are some of the ways that, we can either protect ourselves or there is a way to protect ourselves, or what is it all about?
yeah. So I think you're right. This has the potential to be used for good and for bad. So at the moment, we're not quite at that stage. So there will be tells if you watch a video, and of course the easiest way is to cross check information that you read on the internet or view on the internet anyway. If it's not popping up from multiple sources, it's probably not true and not real. But yeah, as we go further down this AI road, it's going to get harder and harder to know what is real and what's not. So we just got to always ask ourselves that question. Is it too good to be true? Is somebody offering me something that, seems like a completely unreal dream? It probably is. If somebody's offering you a quick fix or a quick money making tip, it probably isn't real. We've just got to remain realistic about that. On the other
Yeah.
side of that, there are services starting to flourish now where they can take your image, you can feed them a script, and it will churn out a video of you reading that script, and you've never actually done this. You've just given it the information, and all of a sudden you've got your marketing video or your piece of value for your course. We're getting to that really exciting time saving phase.
Yeah, I can see, the pros and cons. It can save you a lot of times. It's an incredible tool, but at the same time, it can create a lot of mess. So I see a lot of people asking, like now on social media, what should we expect? Should we be afraid of it? Or should we be exploring it? Or should we stay away from it? What would you suggest to someone who just getting their feet wet on social media, building their content, and they want to know what to expect in the future from artificial intelligence? Should they get it or should they stay away?
Yeah, so the first thing I'll point out is that every time as a human race, whenever we come up with a new technology, we're absolutely terrified of it. So if you look at when cars were first starting to emerge, people were absolutely terrified. This was witchcraft, and we're almost at that stage with AI as well, where it's very easy to be terrified of this and what might go wrong. Cars didn't really go wrong, and are now a staple of where we are. Same with the internet, absolute horror stories at the very beginning of what it could become, and now it's this wonderful thing that we all rely on for good or bad. So AI is definitely something as entrepreneurs that we do want to be jumping in. There's no doubt about that. We want to be in there early because we want that competitive advantage over everybody else in a very crowded marketplace. What we do have to remember is to sense check everything and to proofread everything that it churns out. So we don't want to be generating blog posts and then going straight away and posting them onto our websites. We need to make sure that we take the time. Bearing in mind we've probably saved an hour, we can take 2 or 3 minutes to read through what it's produced, make those tweaks necessary to make sure it's your voice and to make sure it makes sense. before we move on to the next step, so that people, one, think that you've done the work yourself and you've written it, two, they get the value because it makes sense, and three, so we don't sound like complete idiots putting rubbish content out there.
Yeah, and I also can add that are the tools, and they're never going to replace human intelligence. Although it seems like they're more intelligent than humans, but nothing's going to replace human intelligence because it's very unique, right? And it's like superior over any technology. And also, if you created content, right, with the help of AI, in order for you to know whether it's good or bad content, you have to have some knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Before judging if it's a good or bad. So you need to have the skill yourself, right, in order to use the technology. If you don't have the skill and you think that AI is going to do all the work for you, you're probably going to post a lot of crap.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to do any good for you. So you need to have the skill, but this tool can save your time and can also enhance your skills. So instead of you writing all, because it can take 10 15 minutes, you just give that tool a task and it will do it for you, let's say in 3 seconds instead of 30 minutes. So that's the advantage. And I think it's still amazing that we have tools like this. And I also will suggest for people not be afraid to use them, not be afraid to explore them, but use your own judgment and common sense. If you see content that's like too good to be true, or coming from a person but from a weird account, right, that do not match, so be aware that this tool can be in the hands of malicious people who don't have good intentions. And like everything else is out there, there's a lot of spammers and scammers, and they will use whatever they can to grab your attention, right? And take your money away. So, but learn how, if it doesn't feel right, right? If it feels too good to be true, just don't don't use that information.
Yep.
That's it. So, as simple as that. So, what are some of them? Does Beachball's influencers offer any um, I think we were discussing to offer something to our students, or if is it still in the project, or we actually can offer something already to our students.
So we're working on a couple of things around AI because we sort of recognise at the moment there is a huge thirst for this sort of information, and we're also a little bit aware that because there's a thirst for information, that there's other people pumping out stuff that isn't overly useful. So there's two strands of this. We're working on something so that we can get value out to people to help them use it in their own businesses. We are building it into our own processes in the background. So we ourselves are starting to use AI to take away some of those business tasks that take a lot of time, so that we can focus people on serving our students. And then we're building it into our own tools, like our Beach Boss systems application, so that our students can use AI bots to build content for their emails, to build content for their funnels and their websites. So we're building in as many time-saving elements as we can.
Yeah, so we're basically testing it as we speak, right? And see what's working, what's not working, what's the best for our audience, our followers. And once it's ready, we're going to start offering to those who are in our 7-figure influencer community. They usually get those for free. And those who are in our academy community can probably get it for not very high cost. And if you guys interested to learn more about Beachball's influencer systems, drop comment systems below and someone will reach out with the right information. And I think we kind of like covered what majority of people are, questions that they have right now about artificial intelligence. Do you want to add anything, Chris, before we wrap it
Yeah,
up?
I think we've covered most things. The only thing I will add is that before coming to speak to you, Kat, today, I asked Bard, which is Google's equivalent, or Google's AI at the moment, what we should talk about. And we've covered a lot of the things that Bard suggested, which is great. But the point Bard made to me at the end is that the further we go on with this, the more advanced these systems will get. And I think that sums it up nicely, why we want to be in at this level, and then we can grow as this as this industry grows alongside us.
Yeah. That's all makes sense. And I want to thank you, Chris, for taking time and answering all these questions. I'm very new to AI. I know there is what is called Chat GPT that majority of
Yep.
people are using.
Yep.
And if we incorporate it in Beach Boss Influencer system, is it also going to be Chat GPT or something?
Yes. It will be Chat GPT.
So, and as you heard, Google coming up with something similar, right? That you can ask and it will give you answers. So probably there will be several more popping
Yeah.
out. But like we said, they all have pros and cons. And if you use it with a good intention and you already have the skill that you want to enhance or save yourself time, this is the way to go. So
Absolutely.
this is it from us today. And thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for watching and listening. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.